Hi, my name is Keith O'Brien. I'm a journalist and an author, and I was calling because I'm trying to track down some old court documents from the 1940s.
In his home office in Lee, New Hampshire, New York Times best-selling author Keith O'Brien is trying to sniff out a lead on his next story.
At the end of the day, I want my stories to be built on truth, on fact, on evidence, on research, and I want almost all of that work to be invisible to the reader and want them to just keep reading.
Keith's most recent book, Charlie Hustle, The Rise and Fall of Pete Rose and the Last Glory Days of Baseball, tells the full story of one of America's biggest icons and most epic tragedies.
So I wanted to write the book Charlie Hustle for a couple reasons. I mean, for starters, Pete Rose is, whether you like him or not, one of the biggest athletic icons of the 20th century, and frankly, lived a life in the 20th century different than any other athlete.
Born and raised in Cincinnati, Keith felt a connection with the Big Red Machine.
I'm born in the early 1970s and really in the wheelhouse of my childhood love for baseball when Pete is traded back to the Reds in 1984. And so I remember exactly where I was on the night where he set the all-time hit record in September 1985. And I certainly remember what it felt like to live in Cincinnati in 1989 when everything fell apart with Pete's gambling.
It's fair to say that Keith is a fan of America's favorite pastime.
It's a way for me to stay involved, to stay in the game, and really to see it from a different perspective. Coaches see a game one way, umpires definitely see it a different way. But for me, as a baseball fan, it's just a way to stay close to the game. I think baseball is almost a metaphor for life in a lot of ways.
As a lover of the sport, a Reds fan, a journalist, and an author, Keith dove into the Pete Rose story, tackling it in a way that sets his research apart from other books and articles written over the years.
My book isn't here to make a case for Pete Rose. It's not here to make a case against Pete Rose. What I wanted to do was look at his story through the prism of history, tell that story with granular, on-the-ground reporting, interviews with the people who were on the field, in the dugout, in the room when the wagers were being made, and then write that story and let people come to their own conclusions.
Keith talked to everyone involved, former teammates, opponents, ex-wives, friends, and enemies, and even talked to Pete Rose himself.
Pete had never spoken before to an author for a book unless he had some kind of editorial control, and indeed if he was being paid. And I want to be clear, he did not have editorial control here, and he was not being paid. This was a work of history and a work of journalism. Like any author, I write the book, for everyone. I think this is a compelling human tale. Ultimately, I think this is way more than a baseball story. And frankly, I never even really thought of it as a baseball story, even though there's a lot of baseball in this book. I really saw it as a Greek tragedy that just happened to play out in and around an American baseball field.
Now, in its fourth printing, readers have been eating up the story of Charlie Hustle. We took a drive with Keith to his local independent bookstore, Water Street Books in downtown Exeter, New Hampshire, where it is a popular seller.
Hey, Steph. How's it going?
The thing we love about working with Keith is that he is the real deal. He's not only a great writer, but because of his journalism background, he is one of the most amazing researchers I've ever met. A great book to read yourself, a great book to give to your dad, who's an all-time baseball fan. We've sold so many copies to people, and they've come back and told us how much they love it.
Ever since the start of my writing career, I've tried to form good relationships with my local bookstores. I feel very strongly about supporting local bookstores. I feel like they're the glue of every community.
Keith sent Pete a copy of Charlie Hustle, but he doesn't know if he ever read it.
Sympathetic isn't the word I would use to describe Pete Rose. The word I would use is tragic. I do think this story is a tragedy, and like all tragedies, going back to Shakespearean times, the outcome here was avoidable. There were many off-ramps for Pete Rose to get out in front of this story, to tell the truth, to tell what I believe to be true based on my reporting. And the truth is, he was an American icon. He was a great American underdog story who appealed to the masses because of how he played, because of his approach to life, because of the fury that he played with on the field. It made him endearing.
So what's next for this author? Only time and research will tell.
You know, I think, as a narrative writer, I'm following sort of my own muse in the sense that I'm just trying to figure out how to live. And when you report stories, you learn really about how to live.